Hey everyone, in this video, we are going to talk about one of the most important concepts to living the life that you want to live and having the relationships that you want to have, which is clearing your pain. And it's going to be, uh, it is the topic of chapter something. Chapters 12 and 13, really. Chapter 13 is Purge Your Pain. Chapter 12 is about mastering your emotion. And for those of you that don't know, if you haven't seen it yet, it's from this newly released book, Daddy, Are You Proud of Me? You can check it out at coachseansmith.com/daddy. And it's being sold on Amazon right now. And I'm offering everybody the recordings of the audiobook discussions as a bonus if you send me the receipt of the book. And these two chapters are really important. And I put in the book, the context is father-daughter relationship. So I'm probably going to spend this whole video just in that context, specifically talking to fathers. It's not a male-female problem necessarily. It's really about masculinity. That's the energy that both of us have, that both of us, me and you and everybody, we all have masculine energy and feminine energy. And this is really a function of the masculine energy, but I'm probably just going to put it in the context of fathers and daughters because that's the context of the book. And as you know, if you've been watching any of these videos, that this book is derived from me coaching thousands of women over the years and realizing that so much of their entrepreneurial challenges and fears and sabotage comes down to self-esteem, which flows directly to the relationship with their father. And so that's where this book is coming from. It's me reporting what I've learned from so many women over the years. And what happens a lot of times is that a lot of women are really afraid of emotion. And I don't mean just like, most of us in society have some degree of fear of emotion because emotions are, their weakness, or they are unbecoming, or whatever we believe, right? So we're kind of afraid of the emotions. But what I'm talking about is like an actual fear of a thing, like you're afraid of the dark, or you're afraid of spiders, or you're afraid of something because it might hurt you. That's the kind of fear that a lot of my women clients have around emotions. And the reason is because they were hurt by emotions, and specifically in this context, their father's emotions. So what I think is at play here is one of the most problematic issues with masculinity, which is unresolved pain. We are so afraid of re-experiencing the pain that we've experienced in the past. We're also afraid of pain being weakness, or meaning that we have problems, or whatever it is that we're believing about pain and its relationship to our masculinity and toughness and independence and all the things that, the connotation has. And so because we're afraid of experiencing the pain, then we do everything that we can to avoid getting that pain exposed. We don't want anybody to say anything to trigger our pain. We don't want to think that we have the pain. And because of that, we then become emotionally protective of our pain. And I say emotionally protective because we'll use our emotions to create the protection so that nobody sees that we're in pain, or so that nobody triggers that pain, right? And that emotional protection a lot of times comes out as anger, force, threats, some form of emotional control. Because if I'm out of control internally, my relationship with my pain is combustible and unstable, and I don't want anybody to touch it, then I'm going to create whatever kind of emotional moat that I can so that people can't touch the pain, or the people don't know I'm in pain, or people can't see that pain. And so because of that, I will, and I did all this, by the way. I'm not just putting myself into this analogy. This is what I did up until probably 19 years ago when I first started learning about emotions. And then I started to practice controlling my emotions. And eventually it just got better and better and better. So this is how I lived a huge part of my life, where emotionally I would create the distance or the projection or the protection or whatever it is I was trying to create, so that people wouldn't experience my pain or expose my pain, or so that I wouldn't experience my pain. And that's how unstable masculinity operates. Unstable masculinity, insecure masculinity. Some people might call it toxic masculinity. I personally believe that the toxic refers to the behaviors of the insecure masculinity. So that's my little distinction here. But insecure masculinity operates by trying to avoid having the vulnerable thing exposed. Insecure masculinity doesn't try to treat the problem. It just tries to mask the problem or protect against having that problem exposed. So the reason I'm explaining all this is because the real answer here is to address, dissolve, clear, purge whatever pain we have inside of us, so that it's not a potential trigger. So if you imagine that you've just got this, like this reservoir of pain, what's a better choice? To make sure nobody knows about it, or to make sure nobody touches it, or to do whatever you can to actually get rid of it, to get rid of the reservoir of pain? Because even if somebody doesn't expose it, it's still exhausting. It's exhausting because we're going to try to protect ourselves from exposing it all the time also. So we've got internal protection going on, and we've got external protection going on. Now, as the father of a daughter, again, this applies for across all gender lines, but as the father of a daughter, what we teach our daughters is that emotion is dangerous, and that pain is not okay. It's not okay to be human, really, is the lesson that we're teaching. But it can get to the point where some people and some of my clients are literally afraid of a loud male voice that sounds anything like their dad, because they truly have like a traumatic response. It's a trauma response because of what they experienced growing up. And that's because, in all likelihood, and I'm not trying to be dismissive, I'm not trying to throw blame, I'm not trying to say that men are the problems or fathers are the problem, I'm not trying to do any of that stuff, just trying to explain what I think the actual issue is. I think the actual issue is that their fathers probably had unresolved pain. When there's unresolved pain, we will protect it in ways that we don't protect other emotions. There's just something about the experience of pain and the idea of pain to the masculine ego that changes the intensity with which we try to protect it. So the best thing that we can do as dads is resolve our own internal issues so that we don't have buttons to push, rather than try to make sure nobody pushes our buttons. Those are the two different options that we have. And it's not just a flip of a switch. It takes a while, but it's possible. And I want you to think about what the opportunities are to no longer have all of these combustible, internal, pain-driven buttons that people can push, so that we're not afraid of them. Because then essentially we're afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of our emotions. And when we're afraid of our emotions and we're committed to protecting them, then everybody else is a danger. And we'll treat other people sometimes like they are on the attack, which means we try to defend or that we attack back. And that is virtually always, in my experience, from unresolved pain. I want to talk about a lot more topics, but I'm going to stop here for now. But I have so many stories in my life of how I use that pain in different relationships, and I'll save that for another video. So again, this is all coming out of chapters 12 and 13 of Daddy, Are You Proud of Me? I wanted it to be a really extensive look at emotions, and specifically for dads. How can we understand our emotions? How can we manage them? How can we clear away what needs to be cleared away? And how can we just be better stewards of the protection of our family, right? Because when we're afraid of our pain being touched, then we become a dangerous element to other people. And thankfully, that can be shifted. So if you want to take a look at the book, you can go to coachshansmith.com/daddy. And if you have any questions, disagreements, anything that you want to say about this video, or any ideas that this triggers for you, then please let me know. And I'd love the interaction. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you in another video.
If you like this video, check out the next video in this series where I continue to share various chapters and break down some of the most important concepts from my new book, Daddy, Are You Proud of Me? What Daughters Need to Hear, See, and Know from Their Dads to Have High Self-Esteem and Confidence.
So we tend to try to condense our solutions in ways that are irrational if you think about it, right? So allow it